And I think we're live now. For the first time ever, we're streaming live on YouTube. If you can see us from there, please make a comment. Be the first one to actually comment on our new YouTube live stream channel. I'm John. This is Close Encounters of the Tech Kind. I'm with WoW Support, founded it 4 years ago. We've been growing ever since, and we are now joined today by Mike.
Hey everybody, I've been with WIO Support for a couple years now, so happy to be here on this mild weather tonight here in Wyoming, actually.
How about you, Jackson?
Let's see. Hey everybody, I'm Jackson. I've been with WoW. Have I been with WoW support a year now? Has it been a year?
A little bit more than that.
Wow, that came and went. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, I've been here for a year, loving it, loving life.
Awesome. And then, as always, we've got our flight engineer, Artie.
I'm here. I just realized that I am not on screen, but I am here. I've been with WoW Support for, what, about the same amount of time as Mike, I think. So,
A little more, a little less, something like that. Go ahead
somewhere
and fix
around
your
there.
on screen.
I'm gonna get
Uh,
myself on screen. Just, I gotta finagle stuff so that.
we've added new technology. It's added a little complication going live. So appreciate everybody sticking with us. And for the first time, we're going without a script. Each of us were supposed to bring a news story or topic to bring to the forefront, share with the team, and see what the discussion is going to take. So I don't have a list of things to talk about, but this is episode 25. You're watching us on November, what is it, the 14th?
hmm
Yep.
Uh, 6 p.m., 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time, 5:30.
Technically 6:30 p.m., but we had daylight savings, and
Ah,
now they're pretending it's 5:30.
that special time of year when all the clocks are wrong.
Hmm.
Actually, all the
Cool.
clocks are right now. It's during daylight savings, all the clocks are wrong. So,
That confused me for the longest time. It's like, okay, are we in daylight savings? Are we not in daylight savings? Because there's more daylight. How
did you know that
wouldn't the
there's
savings
some
part be the when there's no
areas?
daylight?
Yeah. Did you know there's some areas in the world that observe daylight savings on a much different schedule than we do, like, seriously, for, like, a period of just, like, a month or 2 months or something like that. I looked it up once, it was very odd, like, you mean I have to set my clock for just a few months, and then I set it back, like, why? Why would I bother, you know? Set it for 6 weeks, set it back. Okay, sure, whatever.
That's
I'll
just
go to those
annoying.
places. Go to those places in Alaska where the sun goes down for 4 months at a time, or
Yeah, no kidding, right? Daylight savings, what does that mean? Like, Alaska.
At least they have the
go to
northern lights
Alaska.
at times to brighten up the sky.
I know,
True.
right?
I actually just recently
I mean, if
learned what the Northern
go
Lights
ahead,
even are and why that happens in my physics class. I was kind of like, whoa, interesting. Anyway,
it's a cool idea.
the Earth
We
is
don't get to
an
see 'em much down
amazing.
this.
Yeah, well, there was actually, I don't know if in Wyoming you guys saw it.
Mhm.
Did you see those? Yeah, you did, right? You sent me a couple pictures. The
I
Northern
sent
Lights
you
that
some,
kind
yeah,
of.
I got some pictures with the kids and everything. We got some pictures. I've been trying to watch for other events, but it seems the biggest events that have happened since then, we had terrible weather, so you wouldn't have
Mm,
seen anything anyway. And then other times when events have happened, it just hasn't been strong enough to see it this far south.
right.
So,
Which,
but I've been watching the internet, and there's some people out there that are getting some amazing pictures in the
yeah,
areas that
I
they live
bet.
in.
Which
So,
is, which is to me is almost. I mean, it's very cool, but it's also very concerning because it's literally the sun trying to kill you, and then the Earth just makes these pretty little little lights for everyone, which is kind of cool.
everybody stares up at, "Ooh, look, wow, pretty." Yeah, it's trying to kill you. "Ooh, pretty."
Mother Earth, turning death rays into beautiful lights.
I think
makes
it's
you
been
wonder.
observable in Utah there a couple times, Jackson.
It was, yeah. Well, I know there was one big one. I think it was the same time that you saw,
Hmm.
um, which was I guess now it's been months. It was months ago. But I haven't heard of it since. I'm not one to usually be
Big one a
knowing
few
about
months
events
ago. Friends in Florida and Georgia were taking pictures of it.
No
in
kidding.
Florida.
Wow.
Florida.
That's like okay, that's concerning because I
Yeah.
mean, my understanding of it is not super profound, but I mean, the reason you only see them up in Antarctica or in Alaska is because it's so close to the magnetic pole. What you're seeing in Florida, that's a
Well,
little scary.
let's talk about that because that actually has a direct impact on computers and our infrastructure.
How so?
Mike, you remember the stories about the what was it, Siberia, where the wires caught on fire?
No,
I think I'd heard that. Hmm.
Let me try to find the
Uh,
story.
yeah, already go for
Siberia.
it.
I need to look at a map. I don't even remember where Siberia's at.
Middle of Asia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's one of those places when people say middle of nowhere, that's one of the first things I think of because it literally is in the middle of nowhere.
I think of Tahiti. Have you ever looked at Tahiti on a map?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, literally just find the largest ocean on the planet, go to the very middle of it, zoom in. You'll find Tahiti.
So, the event that happened, if this is the proper one, is called the Carrington event, and it was the most intense
Yep.
geomagnetic storm in recorded history. And it basically knocked out all of the electricals that had been built up, and it was in the mid 1800s. So there wasn't much, but telegraph lines were catching fire,
Wow.
and entire grids just completely knocked offline.
So the Carrington event wasn't a singular thing. It was what is used to describe as the electromagnetic storm that hits. The lighting of the telephone lines is the Carrington event, where we're getting irradiated. Now, can you imagine if we had a solar burst strong enough to get down to Florida, what kind of havoc that plays with exposed lines running across the country?
Yeah.
Now, and then that wasn't lighting things on fire like it did in Siberia back then. Imagine if it was that strong then. I mean, our laptops would have trouble functioning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of stuff would.
Back up your data and bury it in the backyard by 12 feet of dirt.
Yeah.
Even then, it might get hit.
Yep.
I mean, I would bet that there would be some Faraday cages that it penetrates, because it blocks enough, but it doesn't block everything.
Build a Faraday cage inside a Faraday cage inside a Faraday cage.
Giant mountain.
Encase it in lead, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess Cheyenne Mountain would be one of the only places that would survive that.
Only they'd give us access to the Stargate.
Everybody laughs at me when I ask them about that in the Air Force. Like, where is the Stargate?
See, if everyone laughs and you don't ever get the response as, what's that? It means they know.
Right?
Yeah.
Because
So they
you
know
gotta run
something.
into somebody who doesn't know, right? So instead they just laugh.
They know something. There is a Stargate. It's just a plausible deniability.
Wouldn't it be funny if they created that show just to explain away the existence of Cheyenne Mountain?
Well, the funny part is, did you ever see the episode in there where they were talking about they made a show, Wormhole Extreme,
Yes.
to have that plausible deniability, so if that ever leaks, they could say, "Oh, well, that was a Hollywood show,"
Yep.
which just adds more hilarity to that idea that Stargate was a ruse, because then they have a ruse inside the ruse. even more plausible deniability.
Oh, that
Well,
just reminded
speaking of,
me. Oh,
yep.
I was just gonna say another little tangent here. I mean, have you guys ever seen American Made? Tom Cruise.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
Very good movie. I just rewatched it the other night, and that is such a good movie. But at the same time, you're watching it and you're like, wow, this is like based off of a true story. Like the government is so shady, especially like back in in the 80s and 90s before everything. I mean, I'm sure they still are today, but I mean, you back in the 80s, 90s when everything was just still like paper pen. Um, there was just so much that could just get swept under the rug.
Well, and I would say the government isn't shady. I'd say characters use the cloak of the government to do shady things.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it.
If you
So
mean
I
J.
want
Edgar Hoover, just say J. Edgar Hoover.
if that guy was alive today and had the resource we've got now, oh my goodness, he'd still be alive and in power.
And his wardrobe would be filled with Victoria's
No,
Secret.
no, golly.
Oh dear.
Oh, how to get banned in 20 simple minutes.
Oh no, that's mild.
Yeah, well, let's not find out where YouTube's limits are, guys. That's not my goal. I don't want to get banned in 25 episodes. So, speaking of not getting banned, how about we talk dark web?
Ooh, dark web. What's going on in the dark web?
How much do you guys know about the dark web? And I'll put you on Scout's honor. Everything you say stays here. Nobody else will know, just us.
I know
And then-
absolutely nothing about this dark web you
Us.
speak of.
Just us and our tens of viewers. Okay. Um,
It's
I
whenever
no,
you
I've
turn
I
off your
have never
computer.
I
It's
have
the dark
never
web.
I have never deliberately gone to the dark web. I think that I have accidentally tripped across links that may have taken me to places that would be considered dark web, but I've never gone out looking for anything on it. Just it's too risky.
I have
What
watched a
if?
few videos regarding certain things like the destruction of Silk Road,
Hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I've put it more towards the idea of you're leaving the old castle in like the 1700s and going into the forest where there are robbers and murderers hiding, waiting to kill you. You leave the confines of the castle and the castle walls and the moats, and you go out. You better have some armor, and you really better know what you're doing. So here's a line of questions for you guys. So I have gone on the dark web before because there's data leaks. I'm trying to figure out where we're at, what's going on, how does this thing work. It's not a nice place. Truly the most vile things in the world exist on the dark web. Um, that's not what anybody should be doing. But why would our government fund the dark web?
What do you mean by fund?
That's a great question, Jackson. I knew somebody was going to ask.
Is this what I think it's going to be going with the Onion router?
So Onion Router is a way you get onto that dark web. There's multiple dark webs actually, but let's see. Thanks to my web browser, it has changed my list. Artie, ask Google right now. Oh, there it is. Let's see. The U.S. government in 21 and 22, 53.5% of the Tor project revenue came from the government. There's also non-government organizations, NGOs, including Human Rights Watch, private sponsors like Reddit and Google. They're funding the Tor project. So if it's an evil place, why would Google? Don't answer that, Arnie. Why would Google fund that?
Well, the dark web isn't all used for evil. However, it is where, like you said, the most vile things do exist there. But I mean, there are certainly it has its uses. Although I wouldn't be able to tell you why the government would be sending money, or Google or Reddit. So I'm hoping you'll tell me.
Oh, I've got ideas. I don't know if they're 100% legit. Artie, what do you think?
I would probably put it's research. I mean, there's things that are on there that, I mean, I have had time to talk with people that have been white hat, gray hat, and black hat, and there's beneficial information out there. It's not all, you know, negative or illegal stuff. It's just people exploring, people testing stuff, people just there's a desire to share knowledge that is not always present or would be banned elsewhere. And this includes, as you were saying, stuff like vulnerabilities in programs, stuff like that. Because I know Google would want to do it because they would have access to a bunch of 0 days that they don't know about because it's being shared on different dark web websites. So there's benefits to going into the gutters, the sewers, whatever you want to call it, to go searching for treasure.
The sewers of the sewers? Mike, why would Human Rights Watch be funding the dark web?
What exactly are they funding? Are they funding entities in the United States, in other countries, or?
The Tor project, the group that runs and maintains the Onion router. So Tor is, just for everybody that might not be aware of this, Tor is Tor, the Onion router. It is a way of hiding communication from system to system, and it's pretty effective. It prevents anybody that's snooping the wire from seeing what you said and where it's going. So law enforcement can see you went to Facebook, you went to Reddit, you went to Google, you ran these searches, and they can pull that information forward and track users as they're doing it. The Onion router, Tor network, obfuscates that. It cloaks it, and it bounces it through multiple hops so that it's very difficult to find out what that information was, where it's going, and where it's coming from.
I was gonna say that I mean, even before that answer, I was gonna say that it's probably because they want people on the inside. They want to utilize the tools for operations that they're working on that they need to keep hidden from their enemies. You know, I mean, it's kind of like Jackson has said. It's just a tool. It's what you're using the tool for that makes it good or bad. So there's lots of tools out there. There's lots of people, I'm sure, that have a stockpile of computer viruses and Trojans and other nefarious things that they're using it really for good purposes because they're using it against maybe organized crime or who knows what else, terrorists, other things like that. So it's just another tool in the box.
So I'm gonna not name country names just because I don't want to have any comments, or I don't want the bots of YouTube to flag this or anybody. But we have all seen oppressive governments where they're trying to silence dissenting opinions, or more frighteningly, shut down journalism.
Mhm.
Let's roll back to an event in said I wasn't going to name names. There's been many cases where countries have events that get broadcast, and because they were broadcast, they have to admit the events happened.
Hmm.
Whereas if nobody knows it happened and everybody that was involved is dead, did the bad thing really happen? So having a cloaked way of getting information out from oppressive governments is a very valuable tool.
That makes sense.
The downside is it does facilitate bad guys.
Yeah.
Drug trade, um, should we say hitman for hire kind of thing. That's out there. But I'm going to always stand behind the idea that good police work will find the bad guys. It just won't be at the push of a button. They actually have to do research and work to find the bad guys. There's an anecdote out there that, go ahead.
What you described with the information reminds me of there was a Library of Alexandria type setup in a Minecraft server, because the Minecraft servers were something that was not blocked in a lot of oppressive government places. So people were able to log into the server, and there were dedicated people that were going in there and updating newspapers so that somebody could sit down and read the news of what's happening in the world outside their borders.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar positive use of the tools that are available.
Yeah, I mean, Jackson, you're absolutely right. It's not the tool that's the problem. It's how you use it.
It's always the case.
And astute, careful people will always be able to track it down. The police, they'll trace, they'll track, they'll find, and they will bring you to justice if you're doing something wrong. But if the government's the one that's in bad shape, we have to pull to the world stage to bring that forwards. And that's what this tool does. In the
Remember
meantime,
Bitcoin.
we've got to suffer data breaches. We got to suffer Bitcoin hacks. We got to suffer through all the advantages that bad actors are going to have with a total anonymous existence online.
There is no such thing as true anonymity online. And that is
This
something
brings it
that
pretty close.
you can get close, but it is there will always be somebody out there that can track you down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I was going to say, Bitcoin, they thought that was completely anonymous, and people are being traced and found out. And
what a spectacular lie that ended up being. I almost wonder if government agencies weren't behind perpetuating that lie that it's an anonymous way of transacting.
I'm kind of curious about Monero, and they claim it's completely you can't trace it, but you have to be able to trace it because it's still on a blockchain.
But if it doesn't have a record, how does it have value? It's got to check against something. There is a record somewhere. Otherwise, I could put a 1 and 2 zeros in front of the number of my wallet, and I'm a rich man.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of somebody who has no clue how Monero actually works.
No, it's a blockchain-based cryptocurrency.
Yeah, those people that were trading for drugs or other illegal activities online using Bitcoin, thinking they were perfectly safe, if they had just done the research to know that it's a public open ledger and every transaction is recorded with your IP address. Oops.
Was watching a story that was talking about a gentleman who basically ripped off one of the black markets, one of the dark web black markets, and he could not access his money because it was all Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency. And he made the mistake at one point of using his personal account to access
Mhm.
the non-personal account that had all the funds. And law enforcement found him before the other people could. So he was made to testify
And
and
those are the
arrested.
success stories. Yeah, those are the success stories that I point to. When people think that they're anonymous, you're absolutely right. They will make a mistake. We're all human. They will be found. Not quick enough, and some of those data breaches are going out there, like the National Public Data Breach. All our records are out there.
Your monthly reminder to lock your credit,
Freeze.
freeze your credit.
Mhm.
Lock is a different function. It actually shuts it down in a more
Okay.
painful way.
Freeze your credit then. Don't lock it
Freeze your
unless
credit.
you need to lock it.
Yes. You still have control when you freeze it. When you lock it, you don't get access for. It's like a time safe kind of thing. Depends on. Anyways, check with your agencies that you're locking it down with, freezing it with, and make sure that you understand what you're doing before you freeze or lock your credit. Definitely worth it. So each of us had a kind of homework assignment to bring a topic, an idea, a thought, a news story. Who
Yeah,
wants to?
I've got a couple, and then if we do have some time, we actually do have some trivia if you guys are up for it.
I know nothing.
I am a master of all things trivial.
I am curious to see. I feel like some of these historical ones you guys might get some things mixed up, but I feel like you guys will be pretty good at this. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway,
Mike, did he just call us old?
did I?
Maybe.
I didn't say that.
If the truss fits.
No, two big things with Microsoft. I don't know. Do you guys remember when we had some random well, I shouldn't well, random machines were updating to Microsoft Windows Server 2025. You guys remember that? So Microsoft just came out. Now this is from November 11th, so a few days ago. And Bleeping Computer reported on this that Microsoft was blaming third-party applications for the upgrade.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were saying the systems that were upgraded to unexpectedly Windows Server 2025 were on machines where updates were managed using third-party patch management tools. And so I think that is just a little bit interesting how a third-party tool can kind of get control of whether or not you get what version of Windows.
It was a flag that flipped on a specific article, not article. Basically, somebody switched a 1 to a 0, and that made it turn into a Windows 25 You're Welcome upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
Now think about this. Jackson, you've built websites.
Yeah.
You've checked dependencies, you've checked plugins, you've checked all those things, made sure everything works, right?
Supposedly.
Okay, did you check it against a completely different version of Linux or Windows or now what if I gave you a free upgrade to the next version of Linux, brand new core kernel for Linux for free? I
hooray.
did all the work for you. It's there. Your website's broken, but you got this new OS ready to go. Now Linux doesn't take money, but Microsoft wants money for their operating system. So, how about you just pay me the $1,600 for the new operating system we put on your computer?
Not a chance.
Oh, and your website's broken.
Right.
Even though you didn't ask for it, you got to pay for it. And
You're welcome.
you don't want it because it broke everything, but you still have to pay for it. Oh boy.
I didn't see. Were they actually trying to charge people for that? Windows?
It's an unlicensed version of Windows 2025.
Oh my goodness.
And if Microsoft's blaming third parties, they're not going to give it for free.
True. There's gonna be some lawsuits. I'm just waiting for them. On the other
Just-
side,
That just
Go
strikes
ahead,
me
Artie.
as bad coding. I mean, if a third-party product that it is designed to automate updates for a service that you're with, and it downloads an entirely new branch that should be behind, a security key of some sort, something that says this cannot be sent out unless XYZ is met on the destination system. Seems like a big failing on Microsoft's part, even if a third party was able to initiate the install. It's like saying, I left my car keys in the door. Why did somebody steal stuff from inside my car?
I heard something along those lines in a totally different realm, but basically talking about how some law enforcement arrested a person for something that could have happened but didn't. And so he made the analogy this way, because the person that was talking was a lawyer, and he says, "Hey, I want to sue this auto manufacturer because my airbag went off." Right? Okay. Because the airbag didn't go off. Okay. And he got into this bump, and the airbag didn't go off. All right. And so the lawyer's like, "Well, wait. Were you personally injured in any way? Like, how bad was this accident?" He's like, "Oh, I was fine, but my airbag didn't go off, and so I want to sue this auto manufacturer for the airbag not going off," kind of thing, you know. And he's like, you can't really do that. Like, you have to have like suffered and incurred damages from the airbag not going off in order to make that auto company liable for, whatever didn't get put together right. If it was a malfunction or improper process was followed, whatever it was that caused that airbag to not go off in your car. But since you weren't hurt, like, there's no quantifiable damages, and everything. You can't just sue somebody just because of something that didn't happen, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, kind of like this, where Microsoft's putting the blame on these other people, but in reality, like, Artie's right. Microsoft should have these things set up so that if people are not supposed to have access to that version of Windows Server or whatever version it is of any software package, then it's kind of on them that, well, how they get it? Well, they got it, but you can't hold people accountable for something that didn't damage anything. It's just really weird.
Well, Jackson, I gave you a free upgrade to a paid OS and your website's broken. I think that's harm.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Well,
But
on the other
the
side of that,
Microsoft side, did Microsoft cause the harm or did the third party cause the harm?
That's what's going to be debated in the courts. If
Yeah.
if anything comes of it, that somebody has to sue somebody else. So speaking along those lines with that, was it Cloudflare, the thing that happened a couple months ago that shut down like air transportation and a bunch of other services because of the update that failed?
CrowdStrike.
CrowdStrike. That's right, CrowdStrike that did that. I believe I did hear that there were some legal actions that came out from that. Like, I don't know if it was like the airlines or whatever other companies, but because many dollars in revenue were lost during that outage.
A couple dollars.
Tickets being refunded, people not even being able to get tickets or pay money. Like it was a big mess. So
Yeah, I think the
you
biggest
want
thing in civil cases like that, when it's someone suing something, they use the clause of like if not for, right? It has a specific name. It's been a long time since I've taken the criminal justice class, but I mean it's they usually use a clause, if not for X, would this have happened? And I think, it's probably going to fall on that third party, right? Because if it didn't happen with anybody that wasn't part of that third party, well, then obviously they're at fault. And whether or not Windows should have been checking and or the third party, and of course, I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but I think it will come down to that.
Yeah, it's gonna get down to semantics like it always does in courts.
Yeah.
will come down to an Oxford comma, I tell you.
Well,
I prefer the Shatner comma.
Windows isn't done either, because the other thing that had just happened is that Microsoft killed the Windows 10 beta channel again. So they killed it once, then they brought it back, and now it's dead again.
It's not
And
dead. It's mostly dead.
well, what they said was, let me find the exact quote here. But essentially, 60% of all Windows systems worldwide still run Windows 10, whereas only 35% are running on Windows 11. So I mean, that's a majority. That's a big majority.
You want my honest take on that? That 60% number, is that what you said, 60%?
60, yeah.
That 60% number would be less if they had not forced Windows 10 on Windows 7 users so hard a
Yeah.
number of years ago.
I
I
remember
bet
Windows 10, that was a
if
huge thing.
it hadn't been forced on people, I bet there's people that would still be running Windows 7 today in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form.
I'm one of them.
You know, there's people. Do you know there's people that want Windows 11 but can't because their computer doesn't support it?
Right. Or sometimes some people don't even know how to. I mean, if they're running an old desktop, or I built my own desktop that I have, and the settings that are required for Windows 11, sometimes your computer will have the capabilities, but they're just turned off in the BIOS, and so you have to then go into your BIOS settings. And I mean, usually that's you've already exceeded the experience or expectation of the standard user to be able to do that.
Yeah, I bet that's a big reason. I bet it's because people, one, they don't understand, either they literally don't have the hardware to support it. I mean,
Right.
we've seen computers that are pretty old out there. They're still running. And really,
And they're
I
useful.
think I think the older computers still have a lot of use in them. And I've always seen that it's because we add more capability to the hardware. For some reason, operating system manufacturers think that the operating system needs to suck up all that extra power in the operating system. I really don't care if my window that runs my application has nifty little special effects, like can fade in and out or have drop shadows or whatever it is. I don't need my operating system to be graphically accelerated. I need the program inside the window to be graphically accelerated, but I don't need the operating system itself. An operating system you should almost not even be able to tell it's there, kind of thing, right? Like, it should just do what you want it to do. And it should be running really mostly in the background. It shouldn't be like always front and center and sucking up resources and everything. And so people have their older computers, and because now the operating system has been updating itself and sucking up more resources, now the computer gets slower and slower and slower, and their hard drive runs out of space, and all this other stuff happens, and they finally resign themselves to say, well, I guess I just have to go buy a new computer then. When in fact that you look at the open source community about, especially with the Linux distros that are made to run very lightweight and efficient operating systems, but they can still get the job done. It does the very basics. It shows a menu, it opens a window, it, provides a place for you to point your cursor and click and whatever, and that's all it does. And it can
Well,
run
look
applications
at
just fine.
Chromebooks.
Hmm.
I mean, if there's ever a lightweight system, some of the computers that don't have the TPM 2.0 module that Windows 11 requires are way more powerful than a Chromebook.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking like, we use microcontrollers all the time, and I mean, or even like Raspberry Pis. I mean, they are super low power, but I mean, they have incredible uses to run programs, and I mean, then you take an entire computer and it has so much more use still.
Yeah, 8-bit and 16-bit microprocessors are still out there and still being implemented in new technology because that's all that's needed. It doesn't need gigabytes of RAM and terabytes of hard drive space or anything like that.
So going back a little bit, talking about, the operating system being something that has to be in your face. Um, this is my personal opinion of Windows 11. It's less an operating system and more an app managing program. It wants to be an app store. It wants to sell you stuff. It doesn't want you to use it as an operating system. It wants to make you do microtransactions to make
Wants
everything more functional for you.
it wants to connect you with ease of use, single click. Here you go. Here's your new game. Here's your new
Hmm.
social media tool. Here's your new whatever.
Yeah.
It's it's an it's a productivity application with DLC. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's more an anti-productivity because when I had
Well,
to go in there to like make it actually functional, I had to turn off everything that was turned on by default to actually make it so that, I could open up Microsoft Word without having 90 other pop-ups come up.
What would be
man.
phenomenal is a Windows, like Microsoft actually puts a tool together that lets you figure out what modules inside the system to turn on and off. So if you're doing sound editing, you don't want the Xbox Live control kicking up and asking you, "Hey, do you want me to record that for you?"
Mm-mm.
You
No,
want
because
Ableton or Fruit, any of those programs. You want that to have full real priority to the processor, real time.
Have you ever used that open source tool called it was the Windows 10 debloater or bloatware remover? You ever use that?
mm-mm.
I've used
Yes.
it on several machines before, and it does a pretty good job. But I think it's kind of like what you're talking about, right? I mean, what it does is it's a program that just runs through the terminal, and it will just go through and disable all of the things that no one uses, like Cortana or like the phone connect thing on Windows or Xbox, And you have some options there where you can say, okay, well maybe I do want the Xbox thing, and maybe I do want Cortana, and then
Maps broker.
yeah, like what even is that?
It's the one service that doesn't start when I install a server on hardware sitting in one place that never moves. It's the thing that tells you where you're at in the world.
So it shows you maps
Oh,
and
oh,
it
thank you. I forgot.
breaks what you're using.
So yeah, Windows needs to they need to just
I can only
allow
I
you to get rid of
yeah.
all of that crap.
I can only imagine though that it's gonna go like because I think we've talked a little bit about auto manufacturers where there's every car is gonna be built with all the features, but only certain features are gonna be turned on. If you want a certain feature turned on, you're gonna have to pay a subscription to, heated seats or
Yep.
air conditioning
I was
or
just gonna say that the heated seat
are,
one,
Or brake pedal.
can you imagine
opening your
computers
door.
getting yeah, can you
Power
imagine like,
steering.
oh, you want to print a document? No, you have to buy the print module for the operating system to be able to print a document.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
no, you need to buy the Ethernet module if you want to connect to an Ethernet cable,
Or watch
instead
this
of just
30-second
Wi-Fi.
ad.
So, Mike,
Why?
with printing, so I
I
was
should be
watching
yeah.
an article or I don't know what you would call a segment. I was watching a segment about somebody that they had a printer. They bought the printer, it had full ink, and they didn't want the ink subscription. So they turned that off and they couldn't print anymore because the subscription was required to use the printer. And it's like, I have the device in my house, it's got ink. Why do I need the subscription to use it?
Oh, you have to subscribe to the print module to print from your computer, and then you need the ink subscription to actually make the printer work. I should be
It's
quiet.
That's why I'm saying.
I don't wanna give anybody any more ideas. This is kinda
That's
scary.
why
these are
I'm
ideas
a
that are
big
already out
fan of
there.
right to repair.
I know.
I'm a big fan of the right to repair. You bought it,
Mhm.
it's yours. You want to print, great. You want to turn it into like a little sandblaster to like carve out 3D objects, it's your right. It's you bought it. It's your printer. If you want to give it to your kids to use, as a in lieu of a football, throw the printer at each other, you know,
If you want to take it
you
into the
should be able
middle
to
of
do
a
that.
field and beat it with a baseball bat while Gangster Rap plays, that's also your prerogative.
Yes. We
Have you guys
actually
ever
encourage that kind
seen
of behavior.
have you guys ever seen that
Only with
graph
product you own.
you ever seen that graph of the price of liquids? And printer ink is the highest one on the list by far.
Yeah.
I've seen a different list. I'm not going to say what was
Hi
at the top.
Yeah, don't.
highest price per ounce.
I think it's price. What does it say? Price
Price
per milliliter.
milliliter. Oh dear.
So HP black ink number 45 is the number one priced liquid at about looks like 70 cents per milliliter. Whereas human blood comes in at just under 40 cents a milliliter. Then underneath that is penicillin at a little under 10 cents a milliliter. And then comes some liquid, I have no idea what that is. Vodka is at, I don't know, 1 cent. Red Bull, then bottled water, and then crude oil is at the bottom of the list. So I think maybe the government should they should start going after printer ink.
Yeah.
It's a rare commodity.
But isn't it ridiculous? And it's so cheap. It doesn't cost. It's no fancy technology. It's ink, and yet they sell it. I mean, that's how they make their money.
And if you try to use a third-party ink, they have installed microchips that prevent you from using third-party ink.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the Keurigs as well. You put something that's meant to fit in a Keurig that functions perfectly fine in there, does the exact same thing, and it doesn't have the right coating on it, so it gets rejected by the device. And there's absolutely no reason to be gatekeeping these things because it reduces the functionality and makes it e-waste. Because if it's
Right.
not going to function, people get rid of it. The last place that I lived, when I was in California, the lady who I rented a room in her house, and she came home and gave me a printer and said, "Yeah, my boss basically every time the printer runs out of ink, she buys a new one."
A new printer.
Yes.
Oh my word.
So they went through like 30 printers in a year before her boss, the person above her boss, was like, "Why are we spending $6,000 on printers?" But there are people
Because
out
ink
there
is
that are
really
like that.
expensive.
I've
It
met
stops
people
working, it
like
stops
that.
functioning, so they think they need a new one. It doesn't register that there's something inside that's wrong that needs to be changed. It's just get rid of it and get a new one.
The frightening thing is I bought a shaver, and the replacement heads for it are 75% the cost of a new shaver.
Mm.
Yeah.
So now I have 2 shavers. When the heads go bad on this one, I will have a spare somewhere on the shelf. But yeah, it worked out because I got one for travel.
There you go.
Fascinating stuff, Jackson. Got any more of that?
Oh, I don't
We
know.
got
You
about
some,
8 minutes left.
do you want to end it off with some trivia? We don't.
Sure, go
got
for the
some.
trivia.
Go for
All right.
it.
Hit us, Jackson.
Are we keeping score?
No.
We are
all right,
I
now.
can keep score.
Okay, it's just between you three. Let's see. We'll start off with a little bit of an easy one. What does HTTP stand for?
I got it.
Ding.
I got
I
it.
think Mike came in
Hypertext
first.
transfer
Are
protocol.
we doing Jeopardy?
I'm buzzing in.
Yeah. I already got
Hypertext
it.
transfer protocol. That is right. What does the S stand for at the end of it?
Secure.
Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. This is
Ding.
easy stuff. All right.
Secure.
All right. Let's get this one almost tripped me up. 1 kilobyte is equal to how many bytes?
Ding.
1024.
1024. That's right.
So am I
Everyone
the
will
only
always
one that's
just
going
think
to
of it
buzz
as
in?
1,000.
Why is that, Jackson?
I'm faster than the buzzer.
It's because everything is in binary multiples of 2, and so 1024 is a multiple of 2.
Very good.
All right. In what
Actually,
year?
Power of 2.
A power of
right?
2. That's right.
Yeah, power of 2.
Okay, we're getting to some historical stuff here. In what year was the Nintendo 64 officially released?
Oh,
During my I don't play video games.
I want to say
era of my life.
97.
96.
Final guesses? Mike?
Hang on. Nintendo 64.
I'm going to say 96.
I'm going to go with John. I'm going to say 96. I want to say I think I saw one before I came home from my mission.
All right. The final answer is 1996. You're right. All right. What was the name of the first electronic general purpose computer?
Bob.
General purpose?
General purpose.
Was it ENIAC?
It was ENIAC, developed in World War II.
Yeah, there was another one around that time though, but I can't remember what the name of it is.
So was that the Altair?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
ENIAC's the one that's the popular one though.
All right. With over 17 million units produced, what was the highest selling single model of personal computer ever?
Commodore 64.
Mhm.
That's right, the Commodore 64.
You can't get that
Um,
past me.
I knew Mike was going to get that one. All right, let's see here. What else have we got?
So does that mean there's some favoritism in this game?
No, I figured. You
Wait,
still
I'm
have one,
supposed to
don't
be
you,
keeping
Mike?
score, aren't I?
I want an instant replay on that, Artie.
We'll get the score after the video. We'll yeah. Or if a viewer wants to, they can do that.
All right, next one. In database programming, SQL is an acronym for what?
Got it.
Got it.
Sequential query language.
No.
Nope.
Structured
Oh,
query language.
structured. Oh,
Mike's got it.
dang it.
You failed
Very
so hard on
nice.
that one, John, that you went black and white for a second.
Yep.
Lost all color altogether, huh?
I've turned into two-tone.
All right. Here's another one for you. In what year was Facebook founded?
Oh.
93.
I want to say 99.
I want to say 99 also. I want to say I was in college because I remember it was still a few years before I actually discovered it. And
So
what's the answer, Jackson?
the answer is February of 2004.
Oh, 2004.
Whoa.
Really? Huh. I thought it was some like at least a year or two before that.
We're probably thinking of
Previous-
MySpace.
Oh, true that.
I believe that is the little trip there. However, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. Oh wait, no, sorry, that's the wrong question. Hold on. Where did I just lost my? Oh, here it is. The companies, because everyone knows who they are. The companies HP, Microsoft, and Apple all started in what?
Garages.
Garage.
Garages.
The garage. Very nice.
Just like Nirvana and Alice in Chains.
Yep. All right. The first-person shooter video game, Doom, was released in what year?
93.
82.
John?
I don't remember back. I'm gonna say 91.
93 is correct.
Dang.
I was
They've
there.
gotten
my-
it to
my-
run on potatoes.
I was there in the school computer lab when everybody got a copy and brought it in and started playing it.
Legal copy, right?
No, just the shareware download.
Oh, I miss those days.
Yeah. Remember shareware?
Functions for 30 days.
Or you get the
Right,
first
we've
It
got-
level.
has 2 levels. Yeah, 2 levels or whatever. Yeah.
We've got a lot of these, and a lot of these are acronyms here. But one more fun one. In 1975, an engineer created the first electronic camera while working for what company?
IBM.
I know what it was used for, but I don't
Oh,
remember.
No.
Not
I'm
IBM.
changing my answer to Kodak.
Kodak?
Maybe I'm
Mike
thinking of
Gennardi?
webcam.
The first electronic camera? Like, are we talking digital camera, Jackson?
It says first electronic. I don't know if that's meant to mean digital.
Because I mean, I've had film cameras that have electronics in them. So
I want to say
assume
it's an
it's digital camera.
educational institute.
I think
institution.
I think we're assuming digital here.
I want to say it's something like MIT.
I give. All those sound like good answers. So
All right, John's second response was correct. It was Kodak.
Kodak, right?
That took me a minute. My
All
mouth
right.
shot off before my brain did.
All right. Let's see. We might have time for what? 2 more.
Yeah.
What's our Artie? Were you keeping score? Who's in the lead?
I think Mike's in the lead.
All right. We're gonna call these last 2 the tiebreaker. So,
Wait, if
What
you're
did
in the
the-
lead, how is this a tiebreaker?
because there's 2 now, so you have to get the first one right. That is a tiebreaker.
Because there's a railroad nearby and we need the lumber.
All right.
for it,
What do the letters in the acronym CD-ROM stand for?
Compact disc, read-only memory.
Memory.
Ooh, already got it. There it is. All right. Let me find another good one here in our list. Oh, interesting. What 3-digit web error code for censored content is a reference to a Ray Bradbury novel?
451.
Yeah.
Artie gets it again. 451.
Good job, Artie.
Good book. If you've never read it, please do.
Mine burned up on me.
Very nice. All right, well,
Uh,
that's all the trivia I had for today. Maybe we'll revisit this next week.
Oh, I like trivia.
I like trivia too.
Let's see if our viewers like trivia. If you guys like this, drop a like or subscribe or somehow interact with this stream because oh my goodness, it helps our algorithm so much. We don't normally beg for that, but please do. I'm begging you because
We don't?
I guess that's what we do on YouTube. What?
We don't?
Well, not publicly. Yeah, it would be awesome to see some comments, some questions, and as we're continuing to grow this channel and spend some time on these podcasts, I think we're just gonna have fun and just ask you to stick along for the ride.
Cool.
Until next time, I'm John.
I'm Mike.
I'm Jackson.
I am Artie.
And we are out of here. Have a good night.
Night.